Right now, in the deep sea, something drifts longer than a blue whale, heavier than a grand piano, older than your country. We've named these giants, and we rarely find them because we've been looking all wrong. In roughly 70 years of crewed and robotic dives, humans have seen with their own instruments under 0.001% of the deep sea floor, a patch about the size of Rhode Island. Everything else down there, we have never once looked at. We know the moon better than the ocean is not quite fair. Radar and sonar have mapped much of the seafloor at low resolution, so we do know its broad shape. What we have barely touched is two things: the close-up view and the vast three-dimensional volume of water hanging above it. Because the real giants do not sit on the floor at all. They drift in the open mid-water, the bathypelagic and abyssopelagic zones, where there is no wall to bump into, no ceiling, no floor to settle against. It is a wilderness in 3 dimensions, so enormous that an animal 50 feet long is less than a speck inside it. Finding one specific creature there is like hunting a single drifting balloon somewhere in the volume of a continent, with the lights off. We aimed cameras at the far side of the moon and mapped the rust-colored plains of Mars in fine detail, all while the largest unexplored space on our own planet sat right beneath the boats we launched those cameras from. So mapping the seafloor tells you almost nothing about them. It is like mapping a forest by studying only the dirt. The thing you were actually looking for is everything alive in the space above the ground. And for most of history, we had no way to hold still down there and watch. If we have been searching for these giants all wrong, how were we searching at all? And what finally caught them? We sent down submersibles with bright lamps and loud engines. Deep-sea animals are exquisitely tuned to vibration and to any stray glow, because in a world of total darkness, both mean either food or death. So the moment a submersible arrives, the engine roars and the lamps blaze, and every sensitive creature nearby flees, long before the camera sees a thing. Then the biologist Edith Witter tried the opposite approach. Her camera, called Medusa, has no thrashing propeller and gives off no ordinary glow. It bathes the scene in far red illumination, a deep red wavelength that most deep-sea animals cannot detect. To the giants that spend their lives dodging noise and brightness, Medusa is close to invisible. Then she added a lure. A small ring of blue lights called the E-jelly imitates the burglar alarm display of a jellyfish, Atolla wivilii, which flashes in a spinning circle when attacked, effectively screaming for a bigger predator to come eat whatever is attacking it. The E-jelly fakes that alarm to pull curious giants toward the lens instead of away from it. In 2012, off Japan, a single deployment did what decades of submarines could not. It recorded a giant squid alive in its own deep habitat for the first time. We can finally find them without ever startling them. So come down. And if the idea of watching creatures no human eye has ever caught gives you even a small jolt of that feeling, hit the hype button now and take it as your signal that we are diving. The parade starts where sunlight still reaches, and it turns stranger with every layer we pass. So we begin our descent, down through the sunlit epipelagic zone, then the twilight, then the midnight zone, then the abyss, and finally the Hadal trenches at the very bottom. Each layer holds its own giants, and each one is stranger than the last. This first one lives near the top, still bathed in light, and it is already breaking a rule. Meet the lion's mane jellyfish. Its tentacles have been recorded trailing about 120 feet behind its bell. That makes it longer than the longest blue whale ever measured. But it is only true for length. The blue whale is still the largest, heaviest animal that has ever lived. The jellyfish is more than 95% water, with almost no body mass at all. It is closer to a drifting curtain than to a beast. The seawater carries its whole weight for it, so unlike an animal on land, it pays almost no biological cost for each extra foot of body. And it builds that length fast. A lion's mane lives only about a year, and the cold slows its biology just enough for growth to keep piling up right until the end. The lion's mane only grows to true giant size in frigid water: the Arctic, the North Atlantic, the North Pacific. So tell me in the comments where you are watching from right now, and whether one has ever washed up on your shore. What about a giant that carries a heavy body and wraps it in armor? For that, we have to go deeper. On the cold, dim slopes below Japan lives the Japanese spider crab. It has the largest leg span of any arthropod on Earth, up to 12.1 feet from the tip of one claw to the tip of the other. That is wider than a compact car is long. At around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, seawater dissolves roughly 40% more oxygen than warm water does. A crab breathes through an open circulatory system, which is a real handicap for a big body in warm water. But in this cold, oxygen-rich layer, that handicap turns into an advantage. There is more oxygen on hand to supply more tissue. The spider crab molts once a year, may live to around 100 years old, and almost never stops growing. Most animals reach an adult size and stop. Crustaceans keep going. Biologists call it indeterminate growth. So with enough decades, sheer body mass keeps piling on, even in a place where food is thin. If some part of you feels more like the crab, slow, patient, still becoming who you'll be, then like the animal that has to sprint and burn out, drop a single word in the comments: slow. And now the sunlight starts to fail, and we cross into the dark. We are entering the twilight zone now, the mesopelagic, where only a faint blue haze filters down. And here drifts an animal that sailors mistook for a sea serpent for centuries: the oarfish. It is the longest bony fish alive. The largest confirmed specimen measured 25 feet and weighed around 600 pounds, landed off Maine in the 1880s. Roughly the length of a stretch limousine standing on end. That figure is confirmed from a real body. There is also an unconfirmed report from 1963 off New Jersey of one near 50 feet. The true upper limit of this fish is still unknown. The oarfish has a mouth with no teeth, and it feeds by straining tiny shrimp and plankton out of the water. Most of that ribbon-like body is soft, watery, gelatinous tissue. Cheap to build, not the expensive muscle a predator needs. It grows long the lazy way. And then there is the legend. In Japanese folklore, the oarfish is the messenger from the palace of the sea god, and its arrival is read as a warning of a coming earthquake. Dozens of them did wash ashore in the months before the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. And below the last of the light, the giants stop hiding by their shape and start hiding by nearly disappearing altogether. In 2020, off Western Australia, a Schmidt Ocean team sent the robot Sebastian down into the Ningaloo Canyon and found a siphonophore coiled in the water like a glowing string. Stretched out, it measured an estimated 150 feet. Yet it is so delicate that trying to haul it up in one piece would turn it to slime. It is not one animal at all. It is a colony. Thousands of tiny clones, each one specialized for a single job, all strung together and working as a single body. Some catch food, some digest, some reproduce. It is another way to become a giant entirely. There is a reason so many of these giants are built from jelly rather than bone. Down here, calcium and calories are too scarce to spend on heavy armor. Some giants disappear because they are soft. We are deep now into the midnight zone, around 6,600 feet down, where no sunlight has ever reached. This is the home of the goblin shark. Scientists first described the goblin shark in 1898 from a specimen pulled up in Japanese waters. But it was not until 2024 that anyone confirmed a recording of an adult goblin shark swimming in its natural deep habitat. We do know its size because bodies wash up. A pregnant female measuring 15 feet and weighing 1,800 pounds was brought ashore in Taiwan in 2023. A real, confirmed specimen, about as long as a mid-sized sedan. A 2019 study estimated the species might reach 23 feet, but that is a projection, not a body anyone has weighed. The goblin shark's jaws are slung on ligaments that let them fire forward, snapping out at over 10 feet per second in less than a quarter of a second. It does not chase. It hangs motionless in the black, spends almost nothing, and lets the trap do the work when something drifts too close. That is how you afford to be big on nearly nothing. And if a 15-foot shark can hide from us for 126 years, imagine what can hide by being the single heaviest invertebrate on the entire planet. This is the colossal squid. Not the giant squid, the colossal one. And the two are not the same. It is the heaviest invertebrate on Earth. A confirmed specimen weighed 1,091 pounds and measured 13 feet 9 inches, pulled from the Ross Sea in 2007. That is heavier than a grand piano, hanging in the water like a pale ghost. The colossal squid has the largest eyes of any living animal, each one about 11 inches across the size of a soccer ball. Why grow an eye that enormous? Because down here, the only light is the faint flash of other creatures, and an eye that big can catch a single spark of that glow from far away in the dark. It sees the deep the way we can barely imagine seeing at all. But the number that should stay with you is not its size. It is its hunger. This animal runs one of the slowest metabolisms ever measured in a large predator. By one estimate, its energy demand is 300 to 600 times lower than a whale of the same body weight. Its size is also its armor. Past a certain scale, the list of things that can eat you nearly vanishes. The colossal squid's one regular enemy is the sperm whale, which has to dive more than a mile into the black to reach it. Almost nothing else even comes close. We only named it in 1925, and we named it from the inside, from beaks found in the stomach of a sperm whale. A full century later, only a handful of adults have ever been seen. It is a giant that goes about its life with no idea that we exist at all. A creature that vast is a giant of size, but the next one is a giant of time. In the frigid water around 7,200 feet down swims the Greenland shark, the longest-lived vertebrate we know of. In 2016, researchers dated one female, about 16.4 feet long, using radiocarbon locked into the lens of her eye. The estimate placed her age somewhere between 272 and 512 years, with a best guess of around 392 years. That work, led by Julius Nielsen, was published in the journal Science. How does an animal reach centuries? By almost refusing to live fast. In water hovering near freezing, its metabolism runs down to a crawl. It grows only about 0.4 inches per year, and it does not reach breeding age until roughly 150 years old. That sounds like a curse. It is the opposite. Century upon century of patient, glacial growth is exactly what builds a shark up to 24 feet long. A small parasitic crustacean called Omatocoida elongata latches permanently onto the cornea of most adults and wrecks their eyesight over the years. But losing your vision means nothing in a place with no light to see by. The shark never hunted with its eyes. It tracks its food through smell and through the faint pressure that moving prey pushes through the water. It was never blind. It just had no use for sight. The cold bought this animal whole centuries here. But keep going down, past the point where you would swear bones should shatter, to a creature that survives by being almost nothing at all. We have reached the floor of our descent now, the abyss below 20,000 feet, where the weight of the water overhead is almost beyond imagining. And here, in the highest pressure water on the planet, hangs the giant phantom jelly, Stygiomedusa gigantea. Now, the reason most deep-sea animals are not crushed is almost boring. They have nothing inside them to crush. They carry no air-filled swim bladder, no pocket of gas that pressure can squeeze and collapse. Their chemistry finishes the job. The membranes of their cells are packed with unsaturated fats that stay soft and flexible under load. More like olive oil than a stick of butter that has gone hard in the fridge. And a molecule called TMAO braces their proteins and enzymes from the inside, propping the delicate machinery open so the pressure cannot fold it shut. So, for the phantom jelly, made almost entirely of water and nearly impossible to compress, the crushing deep becomes the easiest place on Earth to exist. It just drifts. Its size costs it almost nothing at all. We have touched the bottom, and standing here, every single giant we have met, from the jellyfish near the surface to this phantom in the abyss, is whispering the same rule. There is one hidden logic underneath all of them. Scientists call it deep-sea gigantism, and the logic behind it is a single sentence. In the cold, the dark, and the scarcity of the deep, getting bigger is the winning strategy. More efficient with energy, harder to be eaten, and able to go longer between meals. Everything we just saw was that one idea, wearing different bodies. Cold does two useful things at once. It slows an animal's metabolism, so the body burns less. And colder water holds more dissolved oxygen. More oxygen on hand, less oxygen demanded. That combination, tied to Bergmann's rule, lets a body grow larger than warm, oxygen-poor water would ever allow. By Kleiber's law, a bigger body is actually cheaper to run per pound than a small one. And animals like the spider crab never stop growing. So give them enough time, and the mass just keeps stacking up. When food is thin and scattered, a larger body can travel farther to find it, and store more of it against the next long hunger. Bigness is how you survive a famine that never ends, which is exactly the game the colossal squid is winning. A 2017 study of sea spiders in polar water found something quiet and sharp. The largest individuals also had the lowest oxygen in their tissues. Some of these giants are not just growing big, they are pressed right up against the ceiling of what the water itself can deliver. The deep grows monsters, yes, but even it has a limit. So the deep sea is not hiding monsters. It is hiding a rule. And the giants we have only just learned how to find could vanish before we ever get to meet them. In August 2024, a Schmidt Ocean team charted a seamount that had never appeared on any map. A mountain about 1.9 miles tall, close to 4 times the height of the Burj Khalifa, hidden in plain water. On that one mountain, they logged around 20 species suspected to be new to science. Every unmapped ridge down there is, almost certainly, holding giants we have not named yet. We are learning to find these animals. Remotely operated machines have begun mining the deep sea floor for the metals that go into batteries. Those machines throw noise across hundreds of miles of water, and they stir up plumes of fine sediment that drift straight into the midwater where the undescribed giants live. There is a real risk that we lose some of these animals before we can even prove they were ever there. We spent centuries picturing monsters in the dark. What we are actually pulling out of the deep is not monsters, it is breakthroughs. Marine life has already given us multiple drugs approved by the FDA, among them trabectedin and eribulin, with the largest impact showing up in cancer treatment. And, according to ongoing clinical trial registries, dozens more compounds are moving through trials right now. The abyss has been quietly handing us medicine. Look at the arithmetic of that. We are pulling working treatments out of the exact darkness we were once too afraid to look into. And some of the chemists behind them, animals we have not even named, are still down there, in water we may disturb before we ever get to meet them. So what stunned you more? That a shark alive today may have been born before your country existed? Or that we have seen less of the sea floor than the size of a single small state? Tell me below, and if this took you somewhere new, subscribe and stay for the next descent. Because the deep isn't hiding monsters. It's hiding giants we've only just learned how to look for.